If you are 50 or older and are thinking about buying a home in Florida, stop. In the next 6 months, at least 10 cities will face a clear risk of a real estate collapse. Prices dropping uncontrollably, insurance soaring to $10,000 per year, and thousands of homes listed for sale with no buyers. This is not a mild adjustment cycle. It is a complete reassessment of who should live where, with what income level, and whether it is still worth retiring here. In this video, you will see real data, real city names, and real stories, so you can avoid losing everything just because you believed Florida is always good. One of the next 10 cities might be the very place you are considering. And if you skip this video, you could lose around $80,000 within the next year. Watch until the end, or pay for it with your retirement money. 10. Tampa Bay, Florida. The coastal dream turning to mist. Tampa Bay was once the symbol of prosperity on Florida's west coast, a place where people believed real estate could only rise in value. But in 2025, this city is becoming a warning for anyone who thinks coastal homes are always an investment paradise. Entire new neighborhoods, once luxury condos with bay views, now have for sale signs hanging for months without a single inquiry. The median home price has dropped nearly 5% in just 12 months. But what's more alarming is that housing inventory has surged over 30%, a figure that unsettles even veteran investors. Homes that once sold in a few days have turned into dead stock, sitting stagnant on the market. Meanwhile, home insurance costs, especially in coastal areas, have skyrocketed 40% to 60% in just 2 years, pushing thousands of homeowners to the brink of financial collapse. Many who once bought here expecting a peaceful retirement are now forced to sell just to escape unsustainable maintenance costs. And it doesn't stop there. HOA fees in some neighborhoods are rising every quarter, with some reaching $600 per month, turning home ownership from stability into a slow financial battle. Many people are quietly pulling out. Some developers are secretly canceling contracts before launch day, while others are cutting their losses because they can no longer afford to operate when buyers have lost interest. Data from Redfin shows that the average time to sell a home in Tampa has doubled compared to last year. Meanwhile, mortgage rates remain around 6.8%, pushing monthly payments for a $350,000 home above $2,200, not including taxes and insurance. With Tampa's median household income just over $62,000 per year, many families are considering leaving Florida before being completely crushed by living costs. The story of Mary, 62 years old, a retired teacher, is the clearest example. In 2021, she bought a condo along the Hillsborough River, hoping to spend her final years in peace. But within just 2 years, her home insurance jumped from $3,200 to over $7,000 per year, and her HOA fees rose by another $150 per month. With a fixed retirement income, she was forced to put the condo up for sale. 3 months passed. 3 price cuts later, still no buyers. I never imagined that the so-called retirement dream in Florida would turn into a worry every morning I wake up, she said in tears. Are you thinking about buying a home in Tampa Bay? Or are you already living there and feeling the change? Share your story in the comments below, so others can learn and avoid making the same mistake Mary did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next city. Sarasota, once a paradise for the wealthy, now a place driving them to flee. 9. Sarasota, Florida. When even waterfront mansions can't save the market. In June 2025, a waterfront villa in Sarasota that was once valued at $1.8 million was listed for only $1.29 million, and still had no buyer for more than 90 days. The agent had to host wine parties, hire live bands to attract guests to visit. Yet no one placed a deposit. And this is not an exception. It is the general reality of a market that was once luxurious, now cold and silent. Sarasota used to be the place where the wealthy from New York and California flocked to seek peace after the pandemic. But as coastal insurance skyrocketed, reaching $10,000 a year just to be accepted for coverage, the dream of a seaside retirement has begun to fade away. In addition, home valuations that were once inflated by more than 38% above their actual value, according to data from Florida Atlantic University, have pushed this market into a full correction. Over the past 2 years, the number of homes listed for sale in Sarasota has more than doubled, surpassing 3,700 units, putting the market clearly into an oversupply state. Villas that used to sell in 10 days can now sit idle for 3 or 4 months without a single inquiry. Prices have dropped an average of 10–18%, yet buyers remain silent. The reason? Uncertainty. Fear of climate change, hurricanes, stricter insurance laws, and the risk of losing capital are making even the wealthy think twice. Worse still, the Airbnb model that once thrived here is now stalling due to excessive competition. With thousands of homeowners listing short-term rentals at the same time, rental prices have fallen sharply. Booking days are at record lows, and many owners are now just breaking even, or even losing money because of insurance and HOA fees. A real estate agent in the Siesta Key area once shared, "Before, I only needed 1 phone call to close a deal. Now I have to call 10 people, host 2 open house events, and accept a price cut of more than $100,000 just to start negotiations." If Sarasota, once a symbol of stability, culture, and wealth, is now struggling with unsold homes, then what will happen to the rest of Florida? Do you think prices here have already hit bottom? Or is this just the beginning of a massive correction? Share your thoughts below. And if you've ever considered retiring in Sarasota, think carefully again. Because the next part will take you to a city where Airbnb investors are fleeing in panic. Fort Lauderdale. 8. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. When Airbnb turns into a nightmare. In March 2025, an Airbnb owner in Fort Lauderdale shared on Reddit that he had to use his credit card to pay for his home insurance, more than $8,200 a year, because rental income had dropped so drastically. He's not an isolated case. This is the reality happening widely in Fort Lauderdale, the Airbnb capital of South Florida that is cracking day by day. Once a paradise for short-term investors, Fort Lauderdale attracted thousands of homebuyers with promises of passive income, year-round tourism, and 365 days of sunshine. But in 2025, those promises have shattered. Bookings have fallen by more than 12%. Rental prices have dropped sharply as Airbnb supply surged too fast, while maintenance costs, HOA fees, and especially insurance have gone beyond what most can bear. In some areas, insurance premiums have risen by 50% in just 1 year, averaging more than $7,000, $9,000 per year for homes near the beach. Condos that were once gold mines for investors have now turned into cost traps. Many units are being listed for less than their original purchase prices. According to local data, nearly 30% of condos owned by individual investors are now being sold at a loss, simply to avoid losing even more. And even after steep discounts, the average time on the market still exceeds 60 days, with many sellers offering bonuses, free 1-year HOA fees, or even luxury furniture to attract buyers. Fort Lauderdale is also suffering a double blow from the financial market. With mortgage rates hovering near 7%, no one wants to take on a $600,000, $800,000 loan just to own a property that might not even get renters. Many owners are stuck, unable to sell, but also unable to hold on. Investment loans have now become financial burdens, especially for those who bought 2 or 3 properties using short-term financing. David, 47, a software engineer from Texas, once bought 2 beachfront condos, hoping to retire early on Airbnb income. Now one has sold at an $18,000 loss after a desperate sale, while the other still has no inquiries despite a 15% price cut. "I thought I was buying freedom. Turns out I was buying a financial nightmare," he shared. Fort Lauderdale still looks beautiful in travel photos, but inside, the housing market is full of homeowners quietly sighing each month. If you ever thought Airbnb investing was the fastest path to financial freedom, take a good look at Fort Lauderdale. And if you already own a home here, do you dare hold on to it until next year? Or will you escape before everything completely collapses? Don't look away. The next city will surprise you. Port St. Lucie, once seen as a retirement paradise for middle-income earners, now sinking into an infrastructure crisis and unaffordable home prices. 7. Port St. Lucie, Florida, where the peaceful dream has become a burden no one wants to carry. 3 years ago, Port St. Lucie was the symbol of a smart choice. A city that was not too noisy, not too far from the beach, affordable, well-developed, and especially ideal for middle-class families wanting to start over after the pandemic. But in 2025, that peaceful dream is falling apart piece by piece, and it begins with a paradox. Home prices are sky-high, while residents' incomes remain stagnant. According to a report from Florida Atlantic University, Port St. Lucie is now one of the most overvalued housing markets in the entire state, with the gap between actual prices and intrinsic value reaching 41%. That means if you buy a home here for $400,000, it might only be worth around $280,000, $300,000 once the market corrects. This imbalance is making both locals and out-of-state buyers hesitant. Meanwhile, the number of homes listed for sale has increased by more than 35% in just 12 months. Many homes have dropped $50,000, $70,000 in price, yet still sit on the market for months without a single offer. But prices aren't even the biggest problem. The city's infrastructure is stretched to the limit. Schools are overcrowded, traffic jams happen daily, and the water, sewer, and waste management systems are operating beyond capacity. Some homebuyers have had to wait 4 to 6 weeks just to get connected to the clean water system, while still paying property taxes and maintenance fees as usual. Residents complain that the city is expanding too fast, with too many new housing developments, while basic public services can't keep up. And financially, the nightmare comes from home insurance. A house near the St. Lucie River can cost up to $6,500 a year just to be insured. And that's only if you're lucky enough to find a company willing to cover it. Many applications are being rejected, forcing homeowners to switch to the state-run insurance program with sky-high premiums and limited coverage. Combined with a mortgage interest rate close to 7%, many families are now paying more than $2,400, $2,600 per month for an ordinary house, a number far beyond the means of a household earning about $62,000 a year. Angela, 59, a nurse nearing retirement, once chose Port St. Lucie as her final home. She left her rental apartment in New Jersey, used all her savings to buy a small house with a backyard. But after only 18 months, she's listing it for sale because she can no longer handle the insurance and extra costs. "I came here thinking this would be my final place. But now, I just hope to sell the house before prices drop even further," she shared in a tearful YouTube video. If Port St. Lucie, once a symbol of balance and value, is now falling into crisis, then is there still any place safe for the middle class in Florida? Do you think home prices here will recover or continue sliding in the months ahead? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're considering buying a house in this area, wait for the next video, because Fort Myers, once the fastest rising housing market in America, is now plunging in freefall. 6. Fort Myers, Florida. From the hottest boomtown to the most dangerous place to own a home. Just 2 years ago, Fort Myers was named by Realtor.com as the hottest housing market in America. Home prices had surged more than 65% in just 24 months. Everyone who bought here thought they had struck gold. But by 2025, Fort Myers has become a painful lesson in what a housing bubble looks like when it bursts. The number of homes for sale has surpassed 5,000 homes, up nearly 60% from 2023. The average price has started falling steadily month after month, 6%, then 4%, then another 7%. Many deals collapse right before closing as buyers back out after seeing how fast insurance costs have spiked since Hurricane Ian. On average, a single-family home here now costs between $9,000 and $11,000 a year in insurance, even outside the official flood zones. The pain has spread to Airbnb and tourism, Fort Myers' two biggest lifelines. Bookings are down, rental prices have plunged, and investors are bailing out, listing properties at any price just to escape. One homeowner said bluntly, "I don't need a profit, I just want out." If the hottest market in the country can crash this hard, how much hope is left for the rest of Florida? Would you dare to buy the dip in Fort Myers? Or do you see signs of an even longer fall ahead? Leave a comment below and stay tuned for the next city, where 1 out of every 5 homes is now being sold by investors desperately trying to get out. Jacksonville. 5. Jacksonville, Florida. The giant that's cracking from within. As the largest city in Florida by land area, Jacksonville has always been seen as the safest among real estate markets. But in 2025, even this giant can't escape the market's slide. Over the past 2 years, the number of pending listings has nearly doubled, from around 2,200 to nearly 4,000 homes. While Zillow data shows only a slight price drop, local agents in areas like Orange Park and Middleburg say listing prices are being quietly adjusted week by week because buyers simply aren't showing up. One of the most alarming signs: investors now make up nearly 20% of the entire housing market. And now, the very people who once poured money into Jacksonville are the ones rushing to get out. Many investors are listing their homes for less than they paid, accepting losses to avoid even deeper ones. The root cause lies in Jacksonville's over-reliance on transportation, shipping, and warehousing, sectors that have slowed down significantly. Cargo volume through the port has dropped by more than 14%, dragging down income, consumer confidence, and investment sentiment. On top of that, insurance costs in riverside areas are no longer cheap. Many locals now have to spend an extra $4,000, $6,000 a year just to maintain mandatory coverage. A market that was once stable, diverse, and seemingly immune to crisis is now a place where deals are collapsing in bulk, prices are quietly falling, and confidence is shattering piece by piece. Do you still believe Jacksonville is solid as a rock? Or is this the sign that even the biggest cities can't withstand a housing market that's collapsing under its own weight? From Fort to St. Petersburg, Florida. The fading glow under the sun. St. Petersburg was once called the shining gem of Tampa Bay, a perfect haven for artists, wealthy retirees, and anyone who wanted to enjoy a seaside lifestyle with a touch of creativity. But by mid-2025, that glow is fading, not with a loud crash, but through a quiet retreat. The latest data shows housing inventory in St. Pete has surpassed 5,600 homes, the highest level in nearly a decade. The median home price has dropped from $450,000 to below $390,000. But what's being lost isn't just money, it's confidence. The market has lost its liquidity. Selling times have doubled, and even homes with reduced prices are getting no showings. Buyers have disappeared. Airbnb investors are backing out. Tourism has declined. Rental rates have fallen, and condos once bought at peak prices are now being listed for less than their mortgage balances. That's why downtown, once lively with art cafes and boutique shops, is now dotted with for sale signs everywhere. Another pressure point is insurance cost. For homes near the beach, premiums have now hit around $10,000 per year, even though natural disaster risks here aren't as high as in Miami. And with a median income of only about $58,000, longtime St. Pete residents are slowly moving out. No noise, no big announcements. Just families leaving one by one. Homes quietly listed for sale. Investors silently backing away. St. Petersburg still has sunshine, but its housing market is slipping into the shadows. Do you still see the light here? 3 Ocala, Florida. When overbuilding kills a market that was meant to move slowly, Ocala used to be a place to rest. People here didn't rush. Everything was calm, from the pace of life to the cost of living. Retirees loved Ocala for its quiet charm, wide spaces, and affordable lifestyle. But it's exactly that calmness that became the Achilles heel of the market once overbuilding took hold. By mid-2025, Ocala has nearly 3,000 homes listed for sale, almost 4 times the number from just 2 years ago. New subdivisions have sprouted everywhere, many still half empty. The irony is, everyone's building, but no one wants to buy anymore. Home prices have dropped from an average of $310,000 to $275,000, yet that still hasn't revived activity. Local agents admit, people come to look and then quietly walk away. The reason? Median incomes haven't kept pace with home prices, and insurance costs, though lower than coastal cities, are rising quickly, especially in newly built neighborhoods near low-lying land. Infrastructure hasn't kept up. Many new housing developments have no public bus service, weak internet connectivity, and long distances to hospitals or schools, all serious issues. A market that once moved slowly is now being stretched thin by uncontrolled development. If you think Ocala is a safe haven in the real estate storm, are you sure you still want to live in a place where every house has its lights on, but no one's home? 2. Miami, Florida, when paradise becomes personal bankruptcy. Miami, the city of blue seas, dazzling lights, and luxury real estate, is beginning to show cracks that not everyone can see. In 2025, what was once hailed as the international investment paradise has become a place that tests the financial limits of even the wealthy. Here, dozens of luxury condos once priced in the millions are now back on the market after just 2 to 3 years of ownership, with price drops of 5% to 12%, yet still no buyers. Some new high-rise projects have been delayed indefinitely, while others quietly cancel pre-sale contracts because clients have disappeared. The reason isn't just the price. Home insurance in coastal areas can now exceed $10,000 a year. HOA fees average over $800 per month in many luxury towers. Property taxes keep climbing. The total cost of merely keeping a condo is now nearly equal to renting a small villa in another state. The short-term rental market is no longer a savior either. Rental rates are falling, vacancies are rising, while cleaning, maintenance, and insurance costs continue to surge. Many investors are now running out of cash, unable to sell and unable to profit from renting. A retired engineer who bought a condo in Brickell confessed, "I worked for 30 years to live in my dream place, but now every month feels like a battle just to keep my home." Miami is still beautiful, but the price of living here is rising higher every day. Not just in money, but in emotional exhaustion. Do you have the strength to hold on to your dream in this city? Or is it time to wake up before it becomes a burden with no way out? 1. Lakeland, Florida. The silent collapse of a reasonable dream. No beaches, no mansions. But Lakeland was once the practical choice for thousands of middle-class families wanting to stay away from hot markets like Orlando or Tampa. Affordable homes, good location, convenient transportation. It sounded perfect. And precisely because it sounded perfect, developers flooded in. In just 2 years, the number of homes for sale jumped from 3,000 to nearly 4,800, while demand vanished. Interest rates rose, incomes stayed flat, and the result is home prices dropping 2 to 4% per month. No one talks about it. No panic, no noise. Just more for sale signs quietly appearing. Many newly built neighborhoods, less than 3 years old, are now dotted with sale signs. Developers are quietly cutting prices, offering incentives, combining fees, even canceling unstarted contracts. Some areas in southern Lakeland look like deserts, beautiful roads, streetlights ready, but no one living there. Lakeland was once praised as a smart move, a place to buy and build long-term wealth. But in 2025, it's becoming the symbol of an overheated boom, gone out of control. Would you still choose Lakeland if you knew people are leaving, not arriving? You've just gone through 10 cities that were once dreams, now standing on the brink of collapse. Prices down, costs up, markets gridlocked. This isn't just a few percentage points of fluctuation. It's a complete shift in how Americans view real estate in Florida. And the most dangerous part? It's not that you buy at a high price. It's that you buy at the wrong time, in the wrong city, with the wrong belief that things will soon get better. If you're thinking of putting your money down, be cautious. Don't let the dream of homeownership turn into a lifelong burden because of one rushed decision. Florida was once the ideal destination, but in 2025, many of its cities are turning their backs on their own residents.